Hello everybody and welcome to tonight's stream. We haven't done a Retro Tuesday night stream for quite a while now actually. It's been a couple of weeks at least. I've been busy doing other things and streaming other things. Lots of new games to share. So I've put the retro stuff on the back burner a bit, but we are back this week with retro streaming of a Game Boy Color game, Heroes of Might and Magic 2. Now, I played this game an awful lot as a kid. A lot. It was basically the kind of game that I could get hooked on and then end up playing all night. And then the next day the sun's come up and I haven't even noticed that I have been playing all night. So it had that kind of impact on me. It was one of my favourite Game Boy Color games. To this day it is one of my favourite games, in fact. So a lot of people know that I've picked up a bit of a habit since COVID of playing these kind of retro console, or buying these little retro consoles from China, which are just, you know, emulation devices with screens on them, and they're portable consoles. So I've been able to pick up on a lot of my old favorite classics on the Game Boy Color, the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo, the GBA, all of those kinds of consoles. These little emulation devices play, and one of the ones that I kept coming back to across all of these little consoles that I've been buying has been Heroes of Might and Magic 2. I really do love this game a great deal. So, hopefully we get some people to jump on and say hello and whatever and chat with us as I play this, and we'll get going soon enough with it. Alright, so basically this game is a strategy title. I just want to actually quickly double check that all the systems are working. Yep, okay, it's all working. So yeah, this game is basically a strategy RPG thing where you build up armies, you kind of go and conquer your opponents, and it's all quite simple. I think this game was originally released back in 1990, about 20 years or so ago, and then was ported to the Game Boy Color. You might not have heard about Heroes of Might and Magic in recent years because it was originally a 3DO title. Before that was another publisher entirely. But then a company called 3DO bought the license, produced a couple of games including this one, and then went bankrupt themselves. They sold most of the properties over to Ubisoft, and Ubisoft has had the Heroes of Might and Magic license since. They haven't done too much with it, at least nothing too interesting. So unfortunately, we haven't had a new Heroes of Might and Magic game for a while, which is why I guess I keep going back to these older ones rather than playing the newer ones. But what you're going to notice as we play is that this game is very primitive in terms of its visuals, even compared to the Game Boy Color games of the time. This one is particularly simple in terms of its aesthetic, but it does have that depth of strategy to it, and it is very engaging. There's an awful lot of different factions, a lot of different units, each have their own statistics, and it's really quite a replayable game. The AI is not great, of course, but it's enough. This is all enough to have a good strategy game experience. So we'll go to New Game, and there's two different modes here, Scenario, Campaign. Campaign is just a couple of linked scenarios, really. It's about 10 different maps, I think, that you play one after the other, and they get progressively more difficult as you go along. We won't play that because that's an awful long way to play. We'll play Scenario, which is just a single map that you play. So here's all the different maps you have. This game had plenty of them. So you've got difficult maps, you've got maps of different sizes. There was plenty. This, you know, if you're looking at each of them being at least an hour to play, assuming that you managed to finish it the first time through, you're looking at many hours of play just from this range of maps. It was a lot. These days, it seems like a fairly limited number, I guess, compared to what you can get with other strategy games. But back then, this was like amazing that you had all of this stuff in a little portable console that you could take around with you and play on the train or in bed or whatever. The fact that this game had all of this depth to it was really impressive to young me. So we'll just play the first one by the book. It's the smallest map, it's the easiest map, and it's just a good introduction to the game if you've never seen it before. We'll just go with the default here. You can change the number of resources that you have. You can also make the opponents smarter, which doesn't actually really make them smarter, it just makes them a little bit less fair to fight against. They seem to accelerate a lot quicker than you're capable of, but we'll just play it on the default. And here we go. So here's the map. At the start, this is all you can see because of course fog of war and all that. That's our little castle here, and that's our little hero. So if we jump into the castle, here is what it is at the moment. There's not much. We've got a Mage's Guild which gives us a couple of different spells, but other than that we haven't built anything. So all of this needs to be built as we play. The first thing I always build, and of course I've played this game so much, I've got a very distinct and clear strategy in terms of how I'd like to go about it, so I'm just going to run through how I play Heroes of Might and Magic 2. But the first thing I always build is the statue, because the statue increases your town's income every turn, and if you build it early on, you end up with more money, you know, comparatively by turn 20, 30, 40, whatever. So that's the very first thing you should build. Let's do that. There's all our little resources. You can only build one thing per turn, and there's our statue now on the map. So you do get to see the town build up, which is a nice little visual effect. Again, very simple for its time, but really enjoyable just to watch your little towns grow up as you play along. Now down the bottom here you can see my units. I start with 16 of the little spearmen here and 3 of the rocks or griffins. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but they're bird things. That's what we start with. It's not much, it's just a token force. And now we're going to go and start collecting the resources. Now where you see a unit on the map, that's an enemy that you can choose to fight if you want to fight them. They don't move around from turn to turn, it's only the enemy kind of kings, the commanders that move around. The enemies that are just on the map, they don't move, they just stand there. They're always guarding something or other. So this enemy here is guarding a wood mill, which will give you additional resources every turn, but I don't have the army to defeat them just yet, so instead I'm just going to go around and collect resources while I build my town up. And that's it, that's the first turn. So as you can see, turns move pretty quickly. As the game goes on, it does take longer because the AI starts to have more things to think about, of course. Okay, so grab that treasure box there. Keep the money, and then grab this one here. After that, we will be ready to start adding some units to our army and then fighting the enemies. It doesn't take long to get into this one, it's all quite efficient because it is a Game Boy game, of course. So the first building you build give you pikemen, which are the weakest units for this particular faction. So this group, what I'm playing as this time around is the kind of the humans, so it's knights in shining armor, archers, you know, cavalry, all that kind of stuff. There's also orcs and undead, and there's also kind of swamp things. There's 4, maybe 5 different factions in the game, and like I said, they all have their own units and their own strengths and weaknesses. So depending on the map and depending on which character you start with, your strategy does need to change a little bit. Right, so we'll grab this, that's more resources, some alchemy and some gold. I'll show you just how many different resources there are to collect in a second. So if we go back into the town, now we can build. See, some of these ones you can't build straight away, you need to fulfill their prerequisites first. So if we were to go into griffins, for example, you need to first have a barracks before you can have a griffin. If you were to go into cavaliers, you need a barracks before you can have the cavaliers. The barracks would be... Where's the barracks? That's the barracks. So before I can build the swordsman, I need to have a guardhouse and tavern. So you need to build up to the stronger units. The stronger units are, of course, much more useful in combat, but you don't get them straight away. So we'll build the arches, and as you can see, down the bottom there is 6 different resources to manage plus gold, and you won't be able to build anything unless you have all the requisite materials. Alright, so at the start of the game, for the first bunch of turns, you need to just run around collecting stuff, fighting the weaker enemies and starting to build up your resource supplies. Okay, so we'll jump into here. That hut leveled me up. Each of these little icons have different special abilities. So this one improves the morale of my troops. The little angel statue, this obelisk here, starts to lead you towards a really powerful artifact. So if you collect all 6 obelisks, it actually shows you on the map where the really powerful artifact is, and you do want to get that if you can, because it really is a game changer in terms of how powerful it is. And if you're really good at the game, it is a 99% sure it's actually randomized where in the map the artifact is. But if you get to a good point, you can maybe have 4 or 5 of the obelisks found, not all 6, but you can figure out where on the map that artifact is likely to be. At the moment, I have no idea. That doesn't tell me anything really. Alright, so next up we want to build the tavern, because after that we'll be able to build the swordsman thing. And alright, we are now heading back towards our castle because we can't recruit troops into our team until we're actually at the base. So you do have to keep kind of going back to resupply every so often. There we go. Swordsman. So the little icons on the bottom left of the screen that you're seeing scroll through now, there was a green, there's a red one now, next there'll be a yellow one. Those are your rival factions that you need to fight against. So there's 4 on any given map to start with. Alright, so we got back to town. We will build monks. There we go. So now we've got all these buildings, we can start to army up. Now you get a limit to how many you can recruit in one turn, but every week, so every 7 turns, 7 days in game, you do get the resources are replenished. You get new troops that you can recruit into your army. Okay. So now we have a force. Time to fight some battles. So these are the very weakest of the kind of the monster faction. They're the centaurs. They're quite easy to defeat. And they don't do too much damage. I'm not worried about this battle. This one's not going to be a problem. I might lose 1 or 2 little soldiers, but that's okay. No big deal. So while the graphics are obviously very simple, and the design of the monsters and whatever is quite basic. The fact there are so many different units that you can recruit and train and whatever in Heroes of Might and Magic 2 really makes the game quite appealing. We'll just capture this. So we've got a sawmill that gives us new units of wood every turn. But yeah, because it's all quite simple visually, but because there's such great variety, each time you play, you get to play around with different units and stuff, which is really nice and appealing. So we're just going to battle some more centaurs to capture that ore mine. Once we have the ore mine, we'll move on to fight some other enemies. As you can see, the backgrounds change with each battle as well, so this developer went out of their way to go for variety over technical brilliance, and they've done a good job. I mean, if you've played one of the proper Three Kingdoms, if you played one of the proper Heroes of Might and Magic games, then you would notice that while this one does look much more primitive in comparison, it is the full game as such. It's exactly what you would expect to get from a Heroes of Might and Magic game. Okay, we'll finish off that little dude there. Oh, I lost one. I lost a griffin. I shouldn't have sent him out to attack so early. There's no real limit to how many units you can actually have in your groups. They go well over 100 effortlessly in the later parts of the game, so losing one's not such a big deal. They're all replenishable. Okay, so that's the end of the week after this. We'll just deal with these guys. So that one's a slightly larger unit, but they're only pikemen. They're the weakest of the humans, which is my faction, so I'm fighting myself with this one. But the other thing that makes them pretty weak is they're really slow. So I've got forever to use my archers to pick their numbers off while they slowly make their way across the map. By the time they get to my units, there won't be many of them left, so... Time to get into the melee, defeat them one at a time. Swordsmen are pretty powerful. They're kind of the staple of the human faction. You do get to build a lot of them, and they're good. They're very good. They take lots of damage too, so took the full hit of 10 of those spearmen in one go. Did not complain once. and I leveled up. So your character does level up with experience. They get experience from every battle. Obviously, the more powerful the enemy, the more it's worth it. Hello, Alan. Welcome to the stream. And hello, Beaten on Easy. Welcome to the stream. If you have any questions as we go along, Alan, just let me know. I'll try to explain it as we go. I've played so much of it, it's hard for me to tell what it looks like to a newbie. I've been playing this game for 20 years now. And yes, I think that's a lot of things. I actually played Heroes of Might and Magic, the original one, on the DOS, the old DOS computers. Remember those? And then, yeah, I discovered that there was a Game Boy Color version much later on. So I have had a long history with this series. I think probably the most recognizable Heroes of Might and Magic now would be the HD remaster of Heroes of Might and Magic 3, which Ubisoft created a couple of years ago now. You can get that on iPad and PC and stuff, and I think that's probably, I mean, it's a very good game. It's probably the most recognizable Heroes of Might and Magic now, because Ubisoft, their own ones are terrible. So the remaster of the old one is the better way to go with it, if you are interested in checking one out. Alright, so let's build that one. So what is everybody playing this week? What are you playing, Alan and Beaten on Easy? Any interesting games on the horizon for you? Just short, didn't get to go home this turn. Will I build that? That's expensive to build. Not yet. That gives me knights, and they're very powerful, but I don't have the resources for them right now, so I'll wait. Oh, the first opponent has showed up. Oh, and there's two of them. They become annoying very quickly. But you can build multiple heroes. I tend to go with one to start with, because otherwise you end up splitting your forces between each of the heroes, and that's not good strategy if you ask me. But their appearance means that I have to go and defeat them now. So let's do that. I'm just building up, buying up some more soldiers. Rushing through this because this is boring bit, but just recruiting every unit I can find. Oh, nice. Have you started Valhalla yet? Or is it a continuing on with it? Because Valhalla's a really good game. I actually had a lot of fun with that one. Hello, Nook Gaming. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I get that. I can certainly see how it would be disconcerting going back to GBC graphics, because they are quite primitive. I guess for me it's not such an issue because I've been playing so many of those damn emulation consoles that I'm just right back into the aesthetic. I actually really like how these games looked. I know it looks, I know that sounds silly given how simple it is, but I really like the look of old games. And the GBC was, I guess, the console I really started to get into gaming with. I had a Game Boy before that, but it was the GBC that really got me into gaming. And I get a strong nostalgia from seeing these kinds of graphics now. So those are Wolf Riders. They're pretty nasty because they get 2 attacks each of their turns. But another win without a single loss, so I'm doing good here. Oh, awesome! I'm glad you're enjoying it so much. You can definitely spend a lot of time with it, and it's got a lot of things to do. It's very much a Ubisoft game in that way. But I thought I did a good job with it, and I was actually really impressed with how they handled the whole kind of the Norse or the Viking culture, the way that they showed the mythology, all of that stuff came together in a way that was a little bit more nuanced than we generally see in video games. Usually it's just big bearded Vikings, but we got a little bit better sense of their culture from that game, so well done, Ubisoft. So entering the fairy ring increases my army's luck, which is just one of those statistics. I'm going hunting for enemies now. I'm going to... there we go. One of them is just going to stand right in front of me. Now, do I want to fight them or not? That is the question. Let's find out. So... no, they've got nothing. They're not exactly... this druid here doesn't have many units. So let's just defeat her. That's nothing. The one thing is that the enemy AI, when you fight against kind of the proper opponents, they have magic and stuff. They just cast a curse on me, which doesn't do much. Have I seen Vikings? No, I have not actually seen Vikings. After playing Valhalla, I did have it on my list of things to do, and it dropped off, so I might add it back on again. I don't know that much about Viking culture, to be honest. I mean, I know all the popular stuff, but I could stand to learn a little bit more about them, I think. So I might try to find time to do that. So that's the enemy castle there. If I can go and capture that, then I add a second castle to my growing empire. They've got quite a few forces in defense there, so I'm not going to be able to capture that just yet. I'm going to have to come back. But for now, I'll see if I can find that other enemy. Those little kind of huts there, they give me new spells to add to my spell book, so I've gone and done that. Yep, okay. Knights in shining armor, I've now added that. They're very, very powerful units, those knights. So now that I can build them, I'll be getting close to being able to attack my rival and capture their castle and stuff. That'll be fun. I will definitely... oh, that's a pity. I'm sorry to hear that you didn't get to see the 6th season. I hate those streaming services and the way they do that. Just arbitrarily lose things and then you can't watch them anymore. I don't think those streaming services are all that. I think we're not yet hit the point where we realise that they're not exactly what they promised they would be. Oh, we've got another enemy pop out. Two enemies. I've got them everywhere. They're swarming me. What has he got? What forces? Oh, he's got nothing either. We may as well deal with them, because we deal with them, they stop being a problem. A single unit. Okay. That was a wildly entertaining combat. Down one. This one might be a bit more interesting. Yeah, she's added a lot. Oh well. If she attacks, she attacks. The AI tends to only attack when they're more powerful. Oh, there we go. She's not attacking. If you're more powerful than they are, they don't tend to attack you. So I'm in a good spot, I think. Alright. No worries, Nuke. Thanks for jumping on during your meeting. Say hello once you're done. Alright, so... See, now Cavaliers are expensive. They cost $1,000 gold pieces for each of them. But worth it. Definitely worth the investment. So I'll do that, and then I will get rid of them. Pikemen just stopped being useful too early on. Yes, unfortunately, the too much rights and licensing and stuff to do streaming services the way that they need to be really be done to be an asset to the arts, unfortunately. And it is very unfortunate because, in theory, they're a good thing. It's just in practice, they don't work nearly as well as they should. Alright, so I just rested a turn in the castle to get some more funds back. Just so I can buy a couple of monks. Run out of money again. But that's okay. I think that force is pretty formidable. So let's go and try and capture this castle this time. And see how lucky we get. Even 20 years later after starting this game, sometimes I do get a little bit too eager, yeah. I get a little bit too eager to pull the trigger and start doing the fighting, and as a result I put myself in an unwinnable position. So hopefully I don't do that on the stream right now, because that would be embarrassing after talking about how much I love this game and how much I've been playing it for 20 odd years. Let's just fight this leader. If I can defeat her, then the castle should be pretty wide open. She's not having a bar of it. She's retreating. Now, she went this way, didn't she? Where'd they go? There we go. Ah. So I found my second obelisk. If I can get to 6, once again, as I said earlier in the stream, I get a hugely beneficial artifact. So I'm working at it. Let's just try and capture this castle. Now, we'll try and grab it. See how lucky we get. Capturing castles is difficult because obviously they have those big walls to protect them, and you've got to defend. You've got to defeat the walls as well. Oh, that's good. She's showed up. Let's just see how we go with this. Oh, that's going to be a tougher battle. So we'll use some magic here. What spells have we got? We might use protection. The enemy always attacks the most powerful unit that you've got, which would happen to be them. It's an interesting strategy that the AI follows, but they do always attack the most powerful forces that you've got. So they'll all pile onto the knights. Those green ones are really strong. They don't look it, they look deceptively weak, but they are very strong, the green ones. See, lost one of my knights too. Damn it. Now I'm doing good. There we go, I actually managed to get through that battle without taking too much damage. Just 2 swordsmen and 1 knight. And a lot of experience points. So, let's increase the amount of damage that all my units do in combat. Grab that. What the heck, let's do it. Let's go after the castle. Siege time. Oh, that's not too bad. Not too bad in terms of what they had access to. And because they're not led by a leader, they're not going to be able to cast magic spells on me either. I mean, yeah, not be able to cast magic spells is good. So I can't get through the walls until my catapult breaks through. Because of course, that's how it always works. Oh. Don't like those elves. Now, unfortunately, because the enemy has put that unit right there, I can't shoot with my ranged characters, which is what the monks are, obviously. You would have seen that so far. So I'm going to have to just use melee. They're not very strong in melee, unfortunately. Let's hold back on that. Let's just archer the elves down. There we go. Oh, excellent. So high morale gives your units another shot, another turn, as you would have seen. And of course, aerial fighters like the griffins there are not restricted by the walls. So when the time is right, you can use them to lead the charge. I still can't break through. Damn it. But that's right. Dwarves are defeated and I now own the castle. And I have vanquished the red player. So one of three of the opponents is now down. And I'm going to send that general back up there. So in here, as you'll see, it is now a very different looking castle because it is a different type of army that this one has access to. So they're Pegasus and elves and dwarves and centaurs. It's very woodland dendroids, which are those green things that I'm so scared of. It's all kind of fairies and fae and stuff. So if I drop into the tavern, I can recruit a new leader, so I'm going to do that. And some elves. I don't need those. Those are a different type of force. But now I have a second leader. So one leader per castle is the way I generally prefer to play this. And I'm currently on a scouting mission with this leader. He's not going to be able to do much fighting at the moment. He's only got a couple of elves. yes, I want to finish my turn here. Okay. Oh, there we go. So that is an unoccupied town at the moment. Hasn't got a castle, so nobody owns it. And naturally I plan on grabbing that as soon as I can. But I need a little bit more of a force with Gundula there than the 9 archers that he's got currently access to. So it's pretty impressive, isn't it? The amount of strategy that this game involves for such an old, primitive, over 20-year-old Game Boy game. The amount that's actually involved in playing this is pretty impressive, I reckon. I don't know, I've always been impressed by this game. Like I said, it's basically one of the games that I bust out to test each one of my emulation consoles every time I get one of those. It's the first game I play on all of them. I figure if the emulation console can't even handle Heroes of Might and Magic, then it must not be worth it. So far to date, they've all managed to run this game. All of them. I tell you what, if you're into your retro games, then that is a heck of a space to get into. The deeper down the rabbit hole I go with emulation consoles, the more interesting the place gets. I've got about 10 of them now. I think it is 10. I got a new one just came in today. I'm up to 10 of them, and each of them has their own kind of merits. None of them are perfect, of course, but they're all interesting. And it's just it's fascinating to see how they're kind of designed around them. And this year's going to be pretty good for them. It seems like there's an awful lot on the horizon too, so interesting little hobby within gaming if you're interested in retro. That is my favourite. These little kind of dudes with the hats, the rogues, they're my favourite units of all. And I don't think I get a chance to recruit them into my forces on this particular map, but they're just so cute. Each of your wizards or leaders, generals, whatever you want to call them, they need to visit those magic huts separately in order to get the spells for themselves to use, so it's a bit busy work. But as you can probably guess, this game involves a lot of busy work. Grab that. And that. Let's fight some lizard men here. Which for some reason in this game they're archer types. Usually you think of lizard men, I don't know, I've played enough Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, but usually you think of lizard men as kind of pretty powerful melee warriors, but not exactly elegant archers, but this game does it differently. And who am I to criticize? improve offense even further or improve defense? Well, I like the glass cannon approach, so I'm going to improve the offense of my army. Ooh, there's an army of knights there. That'll be a tough battle. But I think I'll give it a go. Try it on anyway. Once you've got that second unit, then it's not so much the end of the world. If you lose your one, if you've only got one general and you lose them, then it sets everything back so far it's not funny. But if you've got two, then you can recover a bit more easily. So you start being a little bit more risky about how you play. And you do have to, because the AI is still improving as you go along. Alright, so that's a big horde of knights. Let's hit some of them with a lightning bolt, shall we? Bang. Did not even kill them. Fine. Okay. I'm going to lose a few of my knights in this battle now. And a few of my griffins, apparently. Well, I might get away with just losing one knight and two griffins. No, I'll lose one more. Pretty sure I will. Pretty sure this attack will... Oh no, I got away with it. Cool. That's nice. They were protecting a pretty valuable asset though, a gold mine. 1,000 extra gold per day. They are obviously the most valuable resources, so you want to grab those. Alright, let's start to build up this general's army as well, now that we can. That's a lot of centaurs. I might just leave him there for now. I still need more stuff. The army needs to be bigger before it's worth it. Because I'm going to attack that town and try to grab it to add to my empire. The little question mark there is an artifact. Not the valuable one that's hidden in the obelisks, but nonetheless an artifact. So what, dendroids here, there we go. And we still had some dwarves, I think, yes. You know what, that army's probably big enough. I did take down the castle walls, yes. See, that's my new... that has been added to my empire. And in the process I actually defeated one of the 4 opponents. So now we're down to one of the 3 opponents. So now we're down to 2 opponents and me. And I'm just on my way to try and capture a neutral town now. That's my next little objective. At this point, we're about halfway through this map, I want to say, from experience. At this point, you're about halfway through, so. There we go, we got some good equipment there. That toughens my unit up significantly. Let's fight some of these rogues. The rogues never stood a chance. Poor little guys. Never stood a chance. If we keep going this way, we're not too far away from a neutral town on that side of the map either. So I know this map off by heart, having played it about 1 billion times. We're getting there, not quite. Grab that crystal mine. Neutral town. So the neutral town's not protected by walls, obviously. See, I told you the little green guys were tough. The AI always goes for the most powerful unit first, and they went for my 5 little green guys there. Unfortunately, those little green guys are also incredibly slow. They only move 1 space on their turn, and they're last. They always dead last a turn of their turns. We are nearly capturing this town. Are those centaurs? Yes, the ones in the top left of the corner there are centaurs. That's why they got the little tail and the man body. The flying ones are Pegasus. The red ones are, the stocky red ones are the wolves. The green ones are dendroids, and the archers there are elves. Yeah, I like the green ones. They're so slow, they actually pretty much not... They're not particularly useful in combat, but they are kind of cute. And they do hit hard when they do get a chance to finally attack. So, there we go. After all of that, I have now captured the town. And the first thing you want to do when you capture a neutral town is turn it into a castle. Costs a bit of money, but it increases the income of the town and provides protection if the enemies happen to attack. So there we go, I've now got 100 centaur in this little army. I'll grab the artifact. That was a productive turn. Uh-oh. Yellow player... Oh, there we go. The AI has defeated one of its own. So it's just down to me and green now. Just the 2 of us left. If I can defeat green, it is game over. Well, victory for me, in other words. Another obelisk. Probably not get a chance to... Probably not going to get a chance to get the powerful artifact now. Because I've been too efficient in defeating the opponents. But anyway. We will see how we go. Alright, so what's this enemy looking like? He's got nothing. Let's just kill him. Kill him good. Hello, Lord Sosa. Welcome to the stream. Interesting intro. Glad you could join us. Okay, grab that. Mine back because the enemy AI took it. More of them. They just keep coming. It's a never-ending stream of enemy generals. Right. Let's build up this little town. Luckily, it's exactly the same type of village as the other one, so I get elves out of this one as well. And centaurs and stuff. Now, where was that green guy? Where did he come? Looking around, sorry. Oh, there they are. Ooh. Snuck in underneath. That's a bit rude. Let's see where he's going. He's going to go after my castle, I think. He's actually going for it. He's going to try and attack me. How rude. He's going to try and take my castle. That's not going to end well for him because I've got plenty of resources available to me. That'll be enough to stop him all by themselves, I reckon. Behind those high castle walls, all the arrows firing down from the monks and the archers. He won't get far. Ah, that's where he came from. He's got that castle. So there's a lot of stuff here that nobody discovered. This is all... No other AI opponent has obviously been here because these enemies are pretty weak and stuff. That's pretty cool. It's all my space. What has this leader got? Oh, that'll be a tough fight. Ogres and rocks and stuff. I think I'd rather miss it. I better go and protect my castle first. Make that my priority. And another one comes. They're just hoarding me. They're just everywhere. Rightio. Okay, well we better deal with this. Orcs are ranged units in this game as well. Again, you don't really expect orcs to be the ranged kind of troops, but they are. They throw axes. See? They're not very nice. Alright, I got out of that, okay. Just one archer down, and he levels up. And I get a mercury mine out of it. Excellent. Let's see if this enemy general is determined. What's he got? Oh, he's not got much. He probably won't. He might not attack after all. So it does take a while for the AI to take their turn after a while. They've got to do a lot more thinking because they've got more units to move around and stuff. It does take a while. We'll get there. Oh, and now that enemy is going to go down towards my other castle. Of course. Of course. Anyway, I think we're at the end of the hour, so that's probably a good place to stop the stream. I reckon we're about halfway through this. So we'll finish this campaign next week. And yeah, please do jump on. We'll be at the same time next week for our retro stream. And it'll be good to finish this off and defeat all these enemy generals which are annoying the heck out of me. Thanks everyone for jumping on and chatting with me as we've been doing this trip down memory lane. Hope this was interesting and help you see a game that you probably didn't play. I don't think it sold particularly well. And have a great week with the rest of the games that you're playing. We will be back on Friday with another stream. Not sure what we'll be playing at this stage, but it'll be something modern. And yeah, have a great week. Thanks as always for joining.